Hello there. I'm gonna always make a video while I'm walking in the nature. It's beautiful out here, beautiful, not too hot, not too cold, beautiful weather. But anyways, I want to start talking about grief. I want to start making videos about grief because that's something I struggle with. I think a lot of people struggle with grief and they don't know how to grieve. And it's been a challenging process to learn how. And the reason I want to make videos because if you don't experience grief, it's hard to talk about. You can't teach others unless it's something you have experienced. And I feel like I didn't know a lot about grief. I mean, yes, maybe my grandparents passed or whatever, or other family member, but I was young. Didn't hit me like when I lost my son. It was just a whole different ball game and different feeling, different torture. The first thing I want to talk about grief is blame. Blame. I've been thinking about blame today a lot because I remember when my son passed, I was blaming myself. A lot of people were blaming me, but I was blaming myself the most. And I think that when I lost my thoughts, I'm sorry. When I took grieving, when I was doing grief counseling, it was general to everybody. And the first thing they talk about was blame. So, I mean, it's a part of grief that you got to blame somebody. If it's not yourself, it's somebody else. It's easier to blame someone else than yourself. And a lot of people struggle with the blame part. Either it's yourself or somebody else. Blame is a major part of grief. And it sucks because I blame myself, but I was thinking today, I'm like, well, I could have blamed other people. I could have blamed anybody, and to think about it, I could have easily done that instead of blaming myself, but I blamed myself. Blame sucks. When you feel guilty of something, it sucks, especially the death of a child. Oh my goodness. I think when I took accountability of what I've done, it made it so much easier because I'm still blaming myself, but I'm blaming myself healthy instead of blaming myself. I blamed myself for what I've done, not just blame myself, oh, well, it's my fault, my son died. No, but what did I do? And I think my husband, we were dating when he opened my eyes to that, and we broke up that day because I'm like, oh my God, he's blaming me for my son's death. I couldn't understand it, but when I understood his point, he wanted me to take accountability of what I've done, it made me change my mindset, and I start grieving healthy. Oh, I'm so big on that, grieving healthy. You could grieve, but grieve the right way, and when I took accountability of what I've done, my ball game of blame became different. I wasn't blaming myself the same way, and I changed my mindset. I changed the way I look. I blame myself. I changed the way I grieve, and I start grieving the right way, and it became a lot easier because you gotta live. Yes, you're grieving, but you gotta live. Our loved ones, like my son, don't want me crying and being miserable and not happy. If I died, I don't want my kids to suffer. So you have to put yourself in that shoe. What if it was me? But I think if you take accountability of what you did and don't blame yourself just because, blame for yourself for what you truly did, it makes grief a lot easier, way easier. So don't blame yourself. Just take accountability of what you've done, and that's all. Peace.